You're in the bullpen. You might want to watch where you're stepping. Here's American Shorthorn Association CEO Montie Soules.
Well, welcome to the Shorthorn Bullpen. We're here in San Antonio, Texas at the NCBA National Convention and Trade Show, and today we have Lee Miller with us, the president of the American Shorthorn Association. Lee is from the great state of Ohio, the Buckeye State, as they say, and Lee's been on our board now 5 years. He's serving, I think, your last year on the board and as our current president. We're going to let Lee visit with you a little bit and visit with us about Shorthorn breed, the future, and things that we need to do and things that we've done. So, Lee, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you're sitting there in Millersburg, Ohio, and you got a farm, and you're running a number of cows. And what you do?
We're located with north central Ohio, being Millersburg. We call it the Valley. It's kind of a scenic part of the state. We're right there in the heart of Amish country. We run close to 200 mama cows. Run some commercial cows as recips as well. We started about 20 years ago. Started with a handful of Shorthorn cows and gradually grew the herd and eventually got more selective and kind of cattle we're looking to produce. I think it's almost 10 years ago we started a production sale with a few of our neighbors and partners in the area. One would be Byland Pole Shorthorns, that are now Byland Farms, and the other one's the Greg Beckler and his family. So we have a female sale every fall called the maternal event, where we're selling close to 100 females. We just had that here last December. And then in the spring of every year, the first Saturday in April, we'll sell between 75 and 90 bulls. Most of those are yearling bulls. We sell anywhere across the country. Those bulls sell with a first-year breeding guarantee, and we deliver all those bulls free of charge as well.
Lee is one of our major breeders, actually, in our state. He's in the top group of registers that we have of our Shorthorn breeders. And, Lee sat on the board. So we've done a few things in the last 5 years since you've been on the board as a breed and an association. There's been a number of, some of the breeders may not quite buy in, but they will buy in over long-term time, because just tell me, so that they really understand, the folks listening, about the atmosphere in that boardroom and how all of the board members come in there worrying about the breed and the association and the breeders. They really don't have a personal agenda, which has made my job a lot easier.
Yeah, honestly, when I first got on that board, I was told that was there, but, usually you don't know that until you come and you sit in that room, right? There are people there from all walks of life. There's people, there are very credible people in that boardroom that are involved in business, that are involved in other cooperations or in business ventures, and are leading breeders in our breed, right? So it's kind of a diverse group. What's really interesting, though, is there isn't a board member in there that's not passionate about our breed. They're all very, very passionate. And most of those people are willing to hang their own brand on the door on the outside and walk in, and they wear a Shorthorn brand when they're in that room. And so whenever we get, we don't always agree on everything right away, and there's a lot of conversation that's had. And then when we're done, we're always looking to make the right decision for Shorthorn moving forward.
And I would brag on the whole group of 9 board members that we have. They become united when they get through with the conversation and the discussion. They come together as a unit, and that's what's made a lot of the things successful for the breed and the growth that we've seen in our breed in the last few years. So as we look down the road and we look at what's going on within our Shorthorn breed, I have always been directed as the executive that we needed to make sure we kept driving some commercial acceptance.
Sure.
And at the same time, we have to take care of the guys that want to show cattle, and everybody registers a Shorthorn for a different reason. And that's what we have to understand, and everybody needs to understand, and the board understands. So as we talk about different things between judges and performance data and everything, just give us a little enlightening on how everybody chimes in.
Yeah, honestly, I probably our operation probably has our foot in a little bit of both those spaces. We don't show a lot of cattle, but we show enough cattle that we want to compete when we do. And we expect to be competitive. I know we have a lot of conversation in that room around, what is our space? And what is unique, unique thing we bring to the beef breed? And I think one of the most revealing parts of that was through the last strategic session that we had, and we broke all that down, and we realized that we were all in that room for the same reason, and that was to win in the beef business. And we looked at some things our breed brought that would be advantageous around, the maternal values, some of the carcass quality, the marbling as well. And it was necessary that beef breeders, if you would, or cow-calf guys, knew that Shorthorn offered that. And that was important to us.
Well, that's why we're here.
Absolutely.
We're here at NCBA, is to share what we have, the knowledge and information about Shorthorn cattle with commercial cattlemen from all over the United States. So as we look at, this last year, Lee is talking about the strategic planning session we had, I think, 3 or 4 years ago now. And then last year we had a symposium that was part of that, and we've carried through and initiated the things that we come out of that strategic planning session. And one of the areas was that we are a maternal breed that I don't think a lot of people understand. And we are a British breed, we are a maternal breed, but we also can contribute to beef. And we have good marbling. Our cattle will excel in a number of different things. So when we look at what's happened in the 10-year time that I have been here, and I really put it back on folks like Lee as breeders and the board of directors, we're selling a lot more bulls today than we did 10 years ago. We're selling a lot more bulls than we did 3 or 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think even more notably, though, is the quality of the bulls.
Yep.
The breeders that are selling bulls have a few more tools available to them today. The selection of those cow herds, you can see as they've matured and grown in not just in some size, but in quality as well. The most noticeable thing today from, I want to say 12 or 15 years ago, is just the quality of the cattle available. That isn't just the bulls. That's the females as well. I think our cattle have a lot more data behind them today. And not just data on the individual animal, but data for generations. Mm-hmm. I think one of the important things is to get the data built on for a few generations so we can have more reliable tools when we go selecting those.
Yeah, and we've seen an increase in genomic testing from the breed and the acceptance of it from our breeders. And we're part of the International Genetic Solutions, IGS, does our genetic evaluation. And just highlight that for a second, how much of an advantage it is to be part of that multi-breed genetic evaluation.
Yeah, it just gives you so many more records to compute your data off of. Mm-hmm. And so by being involved with IGS, you also have a lot more credit. Your database just has a lot more credibility.
Yeah, it just totally increases.
Yeah, and we're able to use scientists in a way that one breed can't necessarily put together. But you put a whole group of breeds together that use the same science and computing data, and it just strengthens the data you have.
So we look at performance data. We look at this, and then we talk a little bit about, there's a group of people that want to show the cattle, and that's their main focus, and we have to take care of that as a board, and the board takes that seriously. We have our national shows and the competition level, and that in turn will resolve back to a junior heifer market.
Oh, absolutely.
And we have a strong one and a good, strong junior program. So give us a little indication about how important that is to our breed.
If you went around and you surveyed our breeders as a whole, and there's a high percentage of our breeders that got their start in a junior heifer, right? We know that. So as we're looking to retain our young people and to bring them along in the breed, it's important they're involved inside our breed one way or another. Another thing that does is, I think, especially in and around junior nationals, is to bring those families together in one place. You can have families that have totally different directions in their program, and yet they become lifelong friends across the aisle, if you would. Or I know our children growing up, and especially the girls showing the junior nationals, became friends with people halfway across the country they'll be lifelong friends with.
And that's part of, we consider ourselves a family-friendly breed because it is really made up of a lot of families, and it is a family-friendly breed. And I really believe that folks that want to come in are really going to come in and be welcomed. That nobody's sitting here, we don't want you. They want another friend. They want to make a new relationship.
Yeah, as I heard somebody say yesterday, I think calling, it's all about the people is kind of cliche. We always say that, right? But the truth is, it is all about the people.
Totally.
We're going to remember cattle. We can talk about cattle, but it's the relationships that are going to last a lifetime. And not just individuals, but families as well. So those family relationships will last a lifetime.
Yeah, it's all about the family and the people, and the cattle are the tools to bring that together. And a lot of industries are built like that. But
as I have a vet back home that invests pretty heavily in the young generation around home, and as he reminds me periodically is, Lee, don't forget, you're not raising cattle.
Yep.
You're raising cattle is just part of the tool what you're really getting done.
Exactly. That's just, people need to understand that sometimes. And so as we look here and we sit here, and you've run some business, you've been a really great board member, you're president, and contributed to a number of things that we've done in the last few years. That we had a new index devised last year, a CPI, a maternal index, strictly a maternal index, as we're going to be a maternal breed. The CPI, the Cow Productivity Index. Give us just a little background on. I mean, that wasn't an easy thing, and it wasn't something that happened overnight.
Actually, we spent a lot of time in the boardroom on that, and we got some scientists involved in pulling that apart. And what we did is kind of compare the indexes that were already in place, and to see how well they targeted or identified the strongest maternal or cow productivity traits, if you would. And we decided we probably need to revamp that. We did a revamp, kind of did a test run, and then had a few minor corrections to it before we released that. And then we did have third-party industry peers kind of audit that, make a few light suggestions, and then when we rolled that out, anything that's new, any tools like that, there can always be some pushback for acceptance in that space. But I can tell you that I see some leading breeders really accepting that index as having some value.
It's good to hear, because I think it's that additional tool that we may have missed a little bit and thought we had it, but when we did a deep dive, we figured out we needed to do something.
Well, I think the indexes that we had real value. I think they've added a lot. That's not the point of adding the new one, is just trying to hone in a little bit tighter on what makes a really productive mama cow.
So now that you've been on the board 5 years, you're in your last year of service, give us a vision for the American Shorthorn Association as you're going to be getting ready to leave this October and you'll be retiring from the board.
We need to find out how to stay financially viable. One of the challenges that we have is organizations, and you could put 12 or 15 of us in this room, is to make our own budgets line up, to make sure we're frugal in the way we spend money and still advance our breed, right? And I do think there's a day that we might have to join some forces with some other breeds to make, just use our funds more wisely. Because one of the concerns is rising costs of operations, and it's not going to go away.
Well, it's here. I mean,
absolutely.
Right here today, as we're here at NCBA, we're in what we call the IGS Pavilion. So it's the partnership and the collaboration of just IGS partners and breed associations are in one location down here, but we each got our own little booth. At some point in time, we're going to have to watch those monies and those pennies and maybe do some things differently. And I can see that totally as an executive.
I think it's going to take a few of us to put our heads together in different breeds to try to figure that out.
Yeah, it won't be easy and it'll take time, but it's going to be what's going to happen.
No, I think most breeding organizations are really proud Farmers and ranchers are really proud. They love the brand they ride for. And so we're going to have to do that in a way that you don't have to give that up.
No, and it has to be that way. Because I've always compared our breed relationship and our breed association, that breed and your loyalty to that breed is very much like a religion. It's your religion in the purebred cattle business is what it is. And most people don't want to give up their religion. So it's
They'll die on that cross.
They'll die on that cross. So we have to understand that, and that's an important part because every breed has a little different society.
And I think in an ideal world, nobody has to die on that cross.
They don't.
Right?
They don't.
So, but if we put our heads together, we can probably find a way. I think IGS could be is already a step in that direction just by taking it, because we can find substantial savings in computing our data when we use them versus trying to run our own system.
Yeah, right. And it's collaboration amongst other. Because the one thing I have learned as I took this role 10, 11 years ago is that really the other breeds are our competitor, but they're not our enemy. They're really our partner, because we all want the same thing. We just got to do it. We just got to do it for you and all the other shorthorn breeders. So with all that said, we really appreciate Lee being here at the National Cattlemen's Association trade show with us this year, and our current president of the American Shorthorn Association. Thank you, Lee, for being part of the Shorthorn Bullpen this year, and we're going to sign off here from San Antonio, Texas.